Hi everyone. This is an update on my reading journal. It has been several months since I've done an update. Originally, I meant to do it like every 3 months or so, but honestly, life got busy, especially over the summer, and I'm just barely getting down to it now that August is over. So I am using this notebook from Archer and Olive. This came in the subscription box last year, actually a year ago, the September 2024 subscription. So this is my cover page. And so for my goals, I've actually met about half of my goals for this year. I read 40 books, more than 40 books by now. I've read 2 classics, I've read 3 Hispanic authors at least, and I finished at least one book that I had DNF'd. I have started on the graphic novel, so hopefully I'll finish that soon. And I'm not doing very good with the reading physical books or the history books. It's not a genre that I'm really interested in, so I'm finding it a little bit hard to want to read it. So for my bingo board, I have most of it filled out. I still would really like to read a 2025 release. I just, have been drawn to older books than that so far. And my physical TBR list that I already own is sadly, I haven't done any of them. I haven't read any of them. So we'll see how it goes in the last few months of the year. This is my bookshelf. I think it's going pretty well so far. I'm almost 100% sure that I will be filling it all out. I don't know if I'm gonna run out of space. These are my stats for the year. This is really the one that I've been filling out. All of these are going to be filled out at the end of the year. And then this is where I keep track of the books that I have completed in the order that I am completing them. This is my DNF and reread list. For my DNF books, I do have a few more than last time. For example, I don't know if I talked about The Road to Roswell. I was really looking for like a cozy sci-fi type of book, and somebody recommended that one. And I don't know, it was too long, it was too repetitive, it got annoying fast. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I kind of enjoyed it like the first 10% of the book or so, but then it just really wasn't for me. I wasn't excited about reading it, so I DNF'd it. Mexican Gothic was exclusively because of the narrator, so I have been doing most of my reads this year, pretty much all of them, on audiobook, and the narrator was terrible, so that's a soft DNF. I might go back to it in print or digital. And Ella Enchanted, I saw somebody on TikTok talking about books from their childhood, and I remember that I really enjoyed it when I read it as a teenager, so I wanted to go back to it. I started it, but then I really wasn't feeling it, so I left it alone. As for my rereads, it's really just Jane Austen and Harry Potter books, as well as the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix. These are my monthly favorites. So for April, I had Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. For May, I had The Butcher's Masquerade by Matt Dinniman, which is part of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And then I had Persuasion, which is probably my favorite Jane Austen book. And then for July, I had Relato de un Náufrago by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And then for August, The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett, which honestly was hilarious. This is my book bracket with my favorites. So for the first part of the year, Tress of the Emerald Sea ended up winning. We'll see what my next few months have in store for me. And we'll see what my favorite book of the year ends up being. I do have a few more quotes. I keep forgetting to add them. It's just that, as I'm reading, there's quotes that I like, but then because I'm mostly doing audiobooks, and when I do audiobooks, I'm doing other stuff, it's really hard to stop and take note of the quotes that I like. So this is where I track the books as I start them, not as I finish them. And so that's why I have some, crossed out, because these have been DNFs that I never finished. Some of my DNFs don't even make it to here because I'll DNF them so fast. I'm running out of space. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, enough for 4 more books. So I'm going to have to put in a tip in. I don't know if I don't think I have enough space to put it on this side, so maybe from the bottom up. As far as my series goes, so I finished the Harry Potter series this summer. as I wanted to. I finished Dungeon Crawler Carl so far because we're only on book 7, and I know there's more books coming on that one. I finished the Old Kingdom series. Stormlight Archive I haven't read anything this year, so we'll see how that goes, or in a few months. Wayfarer, I think that's done. I don't know if there's any more books coming that way, so we'll see. And then we need to go all the way to April. These are my reviews for the month of April. So for April, I decided to decorate in very pink and Japanese cherry blossoms. I used stickers from Simply Gilded in here, and I was tracking the days that I was reading. So we start with Tress of the Emerald Sea. This is a reread. I really, really like this. I like the story. I like the narration style of it, but I really like the tone of the book. It was very funny. And then this is The Galaxy and the Grand Within by Becky Chambers, which is from the series, the Wayfarer series. And these books are not like some great big thing, but they're like cozy sci-fi, and they're really good for what they are. I really enjoyed them. I thoroughly enjoyed them. They did leave me thinking about them afterwards, so they're still on my mind even a few months later. So I gave it 3.75 stars. Then I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I gave it 4.5 stars. I pretty much read it every single year. This is really, really good. I focus on different things every time I read it, and this time around, I focused on Charlotte wasn't my favorite character. And then I had Yellowface. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I gave it 4 stars. It took me a long time to read this. It was recommended a lot by friends and other people. But I did not like Babel. When I tried reading it, I actually DNF'd it, and I was really unhappy with it towards the end when I finally DNF'd it. And so I was really hesitant to pick up this book. However, this is a completely different genre, a completely different style of writing, and this was so, so good. I don't want to say that I related to the character because the character is so completely unlike me and she was so unlikable. I related to the events that happened and how the other people felt towards this character, I guess I could say. For May, I went with a blue and yellow theme here. These are stickers from Journal Say, I believe. And again, I tracked the days that I was reading, so I read most of the month. I started out with The Gate of the Pharaoh Gods, which is a book from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it, but there were parts that were pretty confusing, and I think it was meant to be confusing, honestly. I was just like in the story. I was in the story. I was thoroughly immersed by it. I really liked the way the characters are developing. But there was a lot of violence, so I did need a little bit of a palate cleanser, so I went with the Delicate Dream Department Store, and I thought it was a really cute story. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I really like to see each of the characters that would come in, like their little stories and how the Dream Department Store helped them, get through their lives or deal with what was going on in their lives. I really enjoy that. Then we had The Butcher's Masquerade, which I gave it 4.25 stars. And actually, now that I've read all 7 books, I believe that this is my favorite of the series. I really liked the first book when I first read it because it was so new and so different, and the humor was like so unexpected. Like everything in the book was so unexpected for me, so I really, really enjoyed it, and I gave it a really high rating. But now that I've had time to sit with the story and I've read all the books, I realized that this is the one that I like the most, I think. And then I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe book. I wanted a little bit of romance. I gave it 3 stars because it wasn't really that great. It felt very much like insta-love, and I don't really like that trope. Honestly, the main characters had like 4 or 5 in-person meetups, I guess I should say, that they met, and all of a sudden they're in love. Like, that was so weird to me. It was not believable. Then we had The Midnight Library. I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it more at the beginning than at the end. There were times close to the end where I really wanted to DNF it because it became a little repetitive, and the longer it went, the less I was rooting for the main character. I felt like she really wasn't getting much out of the experiences, and she just kept going and going, and eventually, I got tired of it. But then, it ended, and so I gave it 3.5 stars, but the longer I sit with it, I think it's more like a 3-star book. We moved on to June. This was a pretty good month for reading. So these are the days that I read. I finished 8 books in this month. I started off with Welcome to the Hyunam Dong Bookshop, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the representation of depression. There wasn't like any big thing that happened that would make her, like not be depressed, or there wasn't somebody just telling her stop being depressed or just be happy, because in real life it happens sometimes. So I really liked that, she just sat with her feelings for a very long time, until she was a little bit better. More than anything, it reminded me of when the library was my safe space as a teenager and how I used to spend a lot of time there. So I really like the idea of a lot of people coming to a bookshop and having that be their safe space or the place where they find community. Then I continued with the third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. I really only knew Kelly Bishop from the Gilmore Girls. I did not know anything else about her. I did not know anything that she did before or after the series. So this was really good to read about, her previous life, how, her career developed and what she did with her career and how she continued working for such a long time. And it was really pleasant to hear. I really enjoyed it. And then I went with The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, which is another Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It left me feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm worried what's going to happen next. I was a little sad about Ren sacrificing herself. It almost felt like it was a little bit useless, but I understand how she wanted to go out on her own terms, at the end, and she did the best that she could. It was really sad, honestly. I almost teared up. But then we went with This Inevitable Ruin, which was the faction wars that I was looking forward to. And I honestly thought the faction wars would go on much longer than they actually did. They finished pretty quickly. I am not unhappy about the way they finished and how everything went. I just expected a lot more things to happen. I gave it 4 stars, and now I have a lot more characters that I'm worried about, that I'm invested in, and I have a lot more questions. And the bad part about it is that I have all these questions, and I can't do anything about it until the next book comes out. So I cannot wait until book number 8 releases and see how everything goes, with the AI and obviously the main characters. And now I have questions about the gods, what's going on there. I read Crónicas de una Muerte Anunciada next. This has been a book that I've been wanting to read for many, many years. I actually own a physical copy of this book that I bought several years ago. I'm not exactly sure where this physical copy is, but I did the audiobook. It left me feeling a little bit confused, a little bit conflicted actually, because on one hand, the character that was killed, his death was so preventable. It was 100% preventable. So many people had the opportunity to let him know, to stop it, to do something about it, and nobody did. So you feel bad for him. At the same time, he wasn't a good person. He really was not a good person. So are we that sad about the fact that he died? Is he maybe better off dead? I don't know. But then also, the reason for his death, or the reason people were looking for him to kill him, is related to this young lady and what she said. And I'm conflicted. Do I believe her or not? Because again, like everybody else in the story, when could this have possibly happened? And did it happen? Is she a reliable narrator? I don't know. Was she telling the truth, or was she covering for somebody else? So it left me with a lot of questions, and I think I want to reread it at some point in the future and see if maybe this time I pick up on more details. So then I read Persuasion. I gave it 4.25 stars. Like I said, this is probably my favorite Jane Austen book. This time around, when I was reading it, I focused on Wentworth quite a bit, and I realized I don't like him as much as I did before. We're told he's such a, great character, honorable character. And it's not that he's a bad character. He's not a bad person. I just don't think he's as good as they tell us he is. And then we have the Old Kingdom series, starting with Sabriel. So I knew I wanted to read this in the summer, and I specifically waited until I had a long trip coming up. So I was going to be driving for about 9 hours. So I read this on the way there. And it was really good. It's one of my favorite books. I did have several questions, about the plot. I really like going into the subreddit and, seeing what people think about it. Then I read Lyriel, of course. This has always been my favorite of the series. I gave it 4.25 stars as well. So I enjoyed it. Again, I read it on the way back, driving on the way back from my trip. So it was really good. And then we go on to July. So I use more of a ocean theme, even though you cannot find me anywhere near the ocean. I have a fear of open water. But as you can see, I read pretty much most of the month. I think it was, one day that I did not read. So this was a really good month for reading for me. I started off with Funny Story by Emily Henry. I like Emily Henry as an author. I gave this 3.5 stars. I like the story. I like that she was a librarian. The main couple I liked them. There were certain things that were not quite so believable, and it was a little off. But I think the one thing I really dislike the most is, like, in romantic stories, is the third act separation, especially if it's due to miscommunication and overthinking, and it's a little annoying. So I think that probably lost it like at least half a star, or like 0.25 stars. And then I finished the Old Kingdom series with Abhorsen, and I had some questions, especially on the timeline of Touchstone and Sabriel going to Corvier. How long did that actually take to go over there? How long did they stay over there? Because it just felt like on the Old Kingdom side, not that much time was passing. So I had questions. And in July, I started my reread of the Harry Potter series. I actually did this for the first 4 books in July, and then these last 3 books in August. I gave the Sorcerer's Stone 4 stars, and then the Chamber of Secrets, that was 3.5 stars. The Prisoner of Azkaban, 3.75 stars. The Goblet of Fire, 3.75 stars. And then I gave The Order of the Phoenix 3 stars because it's my least favorite book. And if I'm not mistaken, last year or the year before, it's the one book that made me almost DNF the entire series. And I DNF'd that book the last time I tried to read it. It's just so long and people are so whiny, and I was over it, honestly. Then we have The Half-Blood Prince. I give it 3.25 stars. Not my favorite this time around. And The Deathly Hallows, 3.5 stars. So I think the Sorcerer's Stone is my favorite one so far. Maybe it's just the nostalgia that I have from when I first read it many years ago. So I started the year, or not started, but one of the other books that I read other than the Harry Potter series was En Agosto Nos Vemos. I actually clicked on this by accident. I meant to click on this one. But I was like, it's a short book, might as well just finish it. And I actually really liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really liked the writing style of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I did not know anything about this story before I started it. I did not even read the synopsis because, like I said, I meant to click on a different book, and I clicked on that one. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny how she was so paranoid about her husband cheating when she had been cheating the whole time herself. And then I went to Relato de un Náufrago. Like I said before, I have a fear of open water. So pretty much everything that happened in this book is like my worst nightmare. Pretty much all of my worst nightmares, being in open water, sharks, storms. Well, I'm not afraid of storms in land, but I would be afraid of a storm in open water. No food, no water. Like, that's the worst. But I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought I wasn't going to enjoy it as much as I did. I just wanted to try it out, specifically because it's literally somebody stranded at sea. But I really liked how everything went. Well, obviously, I didn't like the things that happened in the story, but the way it was told. And then we went for August. I tried something a little bit new with the decoration. I'm not completely happy about it, but it is what it is. Again, I read most of the month, although not as many books. I finished the last 3 of the Harry Potter books, and then I also read The Wee Free Men by Terry Pratchett, which was actually recommended to me on Reddit, and I was like, that sounds kind of a silly name, like, I don't know if I want to, but on a whim, I was like, might as well, and I enjoyed it so much. It ended up being my favorite book of the month. I gave it 4 stars, and I already started the next book in this series. And then I read Heartstopper. I gave it 3 stars because honestly I expected more. So many people have hyped up this book for me that I think it's honestly overrated, because I was expecting great things. I was expecting this big story, and it was a little story. It was a good story, but it was a little story. I expected more plot. I expected to spend a little bit more time with each character, really get to know them, and I didn't get that, so I'm a little underwhelmed. And then I totally forgot that I also read How to Train Your Dragon, but because it took such a short time, I completely, removed it from my memory before. So I haven't done a spread for How to Train Your Dragon, which I will be doing over here. I have seen the trailer for the movie How to Train Your Dragon, so I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a different story than what I was expecting, but I did like it. Let's see, how many stars did I give it? I gave it 3.5 stars. It was just different from what I expected. So these are the books that I read for, or so far this year. I'm at 50 books, so I've definitely gone over my goal of 40 books, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna get to at least 60 books, which is what I got last year. So thank you for watching.